One night back in December 2021, Twitter user Sega Genesis headed out to the bar for a drink. It had been a tough work week and she was looking forward to unwinding. Little did she know her night would end up taking a decidedly darker turn. After she finished her drink, the young woman went back to her car, got in, and started driving home. But suddenly her phone began vibrating over and over again with the same notification. Apparently an unidentified device had been detected on her car and somebody was following her. Stick around to find out what the device was and why she should have called the police straight away. Worryingly, unsettling stories like Sega Genesis's seem to be more commonplace than ever. In April 2022, a mother and daughter from Tennessee went on a relaxing trip to Disney World. They spent a day there enjoying everything the park had to offer before returning to their car late in the evening. On their way back to the vehicle, however, the mom felt a buzz from her cell phone, so she checked it and got the shock of her life. A notification told her that they were being followed. Panicking, they both jumped into the car and made a beeline for their hotel while dialing the police. And just a few months earlier, in January 2022, American swimsuit model Brooks Nader had fallen victim to a similar terror. After a night out in New York City, she decided to save some money and walk home. But on her way back, her phone started buzzing. Apparently, an unknown device had been detected nearby for the last 5 hours. What she discovered next would haunt her. So what could it all mean? What do each of these freaky stories have in common? Well, here's a clue. It involves this mysterious object. Although I gotta say right now, the biggest mystery to me is why you haven't hit the like and subscribe buttons yet. You'll get more content just like this fed straight to you, so you'll never miss out again. All done? Great. Now let's unravel this mystery. To understand exactly what links all of these stories, I'll leave it up to Brooks Nader herself to give you the full breakdown of what happened that fateful night.
And I was at the bar and I was waiting on someone alone, had my coat on the chair behind me, whatever. It was crowded, lots of people. Then I went to meet some girlfriends at a bar nearby. Didn't get any notifications, nothing like that. Then stupidly, I was walking home alone because I live in the neighborhood around 11:30 p.m. And once I was already on my walk home, halfway home, I got the notification that was someone's tracking you and has been for a while. So I freaked out, obviously, and then of course my phone died. So my man was freaking out. It was midnight.
Still confused? Well, I'll cut straight to the chase then. Brooks, as well as everybody else I've mentioned, was being nefariously tracked by stalkers using a small round device called an AirTag. It turns out while Brooks had been waiting for a drink at the bar, someone had slipped one into her coat pocket. Thankfully, she found and disposed of it before anything worse could happen. But it could have been very different. So if you find one of these that you didn't buy, call the cops. These things were released by Apple back in April 2021, and they're supposed to help you keep track of your belongings, not other people. Essentially, anyone who owns an iPhone or iPad and an AirTag can attach the tag to pretty much anything, and it'll transmit the location back to their smart device. That way, if you lose something like your purse, which ordinarily wouldn't be trackable, you can pinpoint exactly where it is. Crazily, the devices don't even have built-in GPS, the technology behind sat-navs and your phone's location services. Instead, they send off a Bluetooth signal that's picked up by any nearby Apple devices regardless of the owner, which then use their GPS to bounce the signal to the iCloud. Once this has happened, you can go to your iPhone's Find My app to pinpoint the exact location of your AirTag. And I mean exact. Recent Apple phones have software built into them which turn them into sort of a compass with an arrow pointing you directly to the tracker. Damn. What's more, because there's no GPS on the devices themselves, they're super cheap, at around $30 a piece. Now this all sounds great if they were only used for their intended purpose, but of course that's unfortunately not the case. And when in the wrong hands, AirTags become a stalker's dream come true. Indeed, criminals can even paint the tiny white devices black, making them even harder to find. I'm getting creeped out just thinking about it. And they don't stop at planting the devices on you. As we've seen with Brooks, you'll probably just find it if it's anywhere as simple as your pocket. But what if the stalker had planted it on her car instead while she was out? She might never have found it. And this isn't a hypothetical. It happens all the time. Criminals will wait until you've parked your car, then hide one somewhere on the vehicle. That way, there's less chance of you catching them, and they can still track you back to your home, either to stalk you or steal your car. In December 2021, a Detroit man bought a new Dodge Charger and only had it for 2 days before discovering an AirTag on it. Luckily, he found the device in time, got rid of it, and prevented the theft. But plenty of others haven't been so fortunate. By using strong tape, criminals can stick them in a hidden place on a vehicle and remain undetected. Seriously, they've been found everywhere from inside wheel wells to underneath license plates.
I'm literally shaking. Pull that shit up. Look what I just found on my car. Tucked in right here. Like all the way in the back.
Jeez. Now, finding an AirTag hidden in your wheel well or beneath your license plate is obviously a sign something's not right. But even if you find one somewhere more obvious, a criminal could still have put it there, just not to track you. Yeah, hear me out. Reddit user Beefy McMeaty discovered one under his car's wiper blades. Not exactly the most ingenious hiding place, right? Confused, he asked people online about it. It turns out a thief might have stolen something, realized it had an AirTag attached to it, and ditched the tag on Beefy McMeaty's car. Not only would that stop anyone from tracking the thief, but if the cops were called, they'd chase the wrong guy. Sheesh. Thankfully, as we've seen, if an AirTag that isn't yours is nearby for a suspicious amount of time, it'll ping your phone with a notification. So if it's in an obvious place or not, you should eventually know about it. Which brings us back to our old friend, Sega Genesis. If you remember, she'd been at the bar one night after work and was driving home when suddenly her phone started buzzing. It was a notification. Apparently, an unknown AirTag had been detected moving with her. At first, thinking she might have just picked up the signal from a random passerby's AirTag, Sega didn't think much of it. But then her phone buzzed again and again. With a sinking feeling, she realized it was so late that there weren't any passersby. The tag had to be in her car. But after checking her coat, purse, and seats in a blind panic, she couldn't see one anywhere. So not knowing what else to do, she drove to a friend's house to avoid spending the night alone. Thankfully, she slept over with no further drama. The next morning, she asked her friend to give her car another search. Sure enough, after rooting around on the underside of her front passenger wheel well, they pulled out what was unmistakably an Apple AirTag. Someone must have stuck it there while she was in the bar the night before. They could have been behind her the whole time, tracking her every move. Sega felt sick and threw the device away immediately before taking to Twitter to warn others of the danger they pose. What if she'd gone home alone that night and her pursuer had learnt of her address? Or what if the device had never been found? It doesn't bear thinking about. And what about the mother and daughter that had been visiting Disney World? If you remember, the mom received the same terrifying notification. When she checked her phone, she found out a tag had been detected near them multiple times throughout the trip, like it was with them the whole day. She called the police, but after searching all of their possessions and checking her car, they never actually found anything, so the cops couldn't act. Damn, if somebody had planted a tag on them then, it must have fallen off at some point. Pretty lucky. Even so, calling the cops was the right thing to do, and heaven forbid if you ever find yourself in this scenario, do the same. Not that the police are always the good guys. Back in June 2022, a former Miami PD officer named Javier McGarren was embroiled in an AirTag scandal so crazy that it made national headlines. Buckle up, because this one gets totally wild. A few months earlier in March, McGarren's girlfriend had split up with him, citing irreconcilable differences. However, McGarren wasn't about to just let her go. Oh no. Instead, he decided the best course of action was to start stalking her. Right. The then cop bought an AirTag and planted it on her car in order to keep tabs on her. He wasn't subtle about it either. Whenever she'd drive anywhere, he'd text her the exact address she was at. What a creep. Despite this, he point-blank denied hiding a tag, but his ex wasn't convinced. After she confronted him, McGarren eventually admitted he'd planted one under a mat in the trunk of her car. Angry but willing to let it slide and avoid any further drama, his ex found the tag and threw it away. But that was far from the end. After booking a much-needed vacation and heading to the airport, she discovered it had been canceled by McGarren. He must have logged into her email without her realizing. Enraged, she called him up and told him to leave her alone or there'd be serious consequences. Well, he didn't. A few days later, she found another AirTag stuck to the bottom of her car. Geez, seriously? This time it was the last straw. She reported McGarren to Miami PD, his own department, and records obtained from the device confirmed her story. In Florida, unwanted tracking through any means is a crime, and McGarren was as guilty as they come. He was arrested and jailed, and though he's since been released on bond, at the time of this video, he faces charges of both stalking and illegal use of a tracking device. Though undeniably harrowing for the poor victim, this particular story has at least some kind of a happy ending. Sadly though, this isn't always the case, which begs the question, how has Apple actually responded to all of this? Well, they issued a statement in February 2022 detailing several safeguards that are supposed to stop any AirTag-related crime from being possible. One of these is the notification that's sent out to nearby iPhones. Whilst it's definitely useful, you can hardly say it stops crime in its tracks. Plus, if you don't own an iPhone, you're out of luck. Android devices have no way to passively detect unwanted tags. Apple have released an app to the Play Store that seeks out nearby tags, but you have to manually open the app to use it. So you'd need to already suspect an AirTag is on you for some reason to stand a chance of finding it. This isn't ideal. But there is another safeguard. If separated from their owner for too long, AirTags start beeping. So if you hear that coming from your handbag, wallet, or anywhere else nearby, check it out. It might be time to call the police. When the trackers first came out, this beeping would only begin after 3 days, which wasn't very helpful. That has since been updated, and now the tags beep at a random time between 8 and 24 hours after separation. Which seems weird to me. I mean, why not after 8 hours every time? But hey, at least it's a shorter time than it was. If you do find an AirTag you don't recognize, you can also hold it up to your iPhone to display the serial number of the device it's registered to and help track down its origin. If you don't own an iPhone, don't despair. If your smartphone is NFC enabled, you can still scan the AirTag to find its number. Or you can simply pop the battery out by pushing the steel back of the device in and turning it counterclockwise. The serial number will be behind. In fact, you should take the battery out like this anyway, regardless of the phone you have. Then you know nobody can track you with it. It's good that Apple has taken steps to improve the AirTag security, and they say they're committed to updating it more and more. But those updates can't come soon enough. Crafty YouTubers have already found a way to remove the speakers inside AirTags to prevent them from beeping. Sometimes I wish YouTube wasn't so popular. It's also worth noting that Apple's AirTag isn't the only mass-produced tracking device on the market. Samsung's SmartTag is a similar product that also uses Bluetooth for its location finding. So if you find one of these you didn't buy, it's worth investigating too. However, its tracking is less pinpoint accurate than Apple's equivalent, which should make a criminal's job a little harder. The Samsung SmartThings app also has a tracker for unknown smart tags, but once again, you have to actually open the app to use it. Classic. Oh, and there's also Tile. No, your kitchen floor isn't suddenly going to start spying on you. Tiles are yet another device that use Bluetooth in a similar way. And yet again, you can't scan for them without opening an app and doing it manually. Jeez, I'm noticing a pattern here. Smart tags and tiles aren't as popular as AirTags, so there aren't as many horror stories yet, but somebody did find a tile taped to the bottom of their car as recently as October 2022. Man, so what are we supposed to do? Download a different scanning app for each tracking device and spend our lives switching between them, scanning everywhere as we go? No thanks. But with criminals able to disable the built-in alarm, until these companies band together to work on a proper solution, I guess we've just got to stay vigilant. Great. And I'm afraid staying vigilant means more than just keeping an eye out for trackers. Tracking devices like AirTags and Tiles aren't the only common pieces of technology that criminals could use against you. Some creepers have started buying listening devices too. And just like the trackers, you can pick them up on Amazon. Man, that really bugs me. All joking aside, it's frighteningly easy for evildoers to listen in on your private conversations. As well as being cheap, many of these devices also come disguised as common household objects, from USB sticks to phone chargers. So if somebody managed to sneak one into your home, you might not even realize what it is, even if you look straight at it. Creepy. No matter what they look like though, they've always got a microphone which silently records sound and either stores it on an SD card in the device or transmits it straight to the owner's smartphone. If it goes straight to their phone, well, you're out of luck. But if the recording is stored in the device, you can bet whoever planted it there will be coming back for it. Back in 2020, Debbie Waring-Jones in Birmingham, UK found this out the hard way. She'd gone to visit her partner in Nottingham and had long entrusted her neighbors, the Nolans, with a spare key to feed her cats whenever she was gone. When she returned, however, she discovered a tiny device underneath her coffee table that she didn't recognize, and another behind her bed's headboard. Confused and scared, she set up a hidden camera in the bedroom to catch the perpetrator in case they came to get the devices back. The next week, she went to see her partner again, but this time when she returned, she checked over the footage. To her shock and disgust, there was Bill Nolan, sneaking into her home to pick up the devices. Debbie sent her son to the neighbor's house to confront Nolan, who claimed he was just looking for the cats. Right. He quickly gave up on that story, however, and pled guilty to stalking. He was sentenced to 15 weeks in prison, ordered to pay $350 in compensation, and given an indefinite restraining order. Luckily for Debbie, the devices Bill had planted weren't disguised as anything else, so she found them pretty easily. But even if they had been, there are some ways you can tell. For a start, keep an eye out for anything in your house you don't remember buying. Then, if you spot something, check for anything suspicious like a compartment a listening device could be stored in. If you do find a listening device, first and foremost, call the cops. As if all this isn't creepy enough though, I'm afraid there's more. And it gets even worse, because some stalkers aren't content with just listening to you or tracking your location. They want to see you too. And to do this, they don't even need to buy their own nefarious devices. They can just use yours. Yep, it's now more common than ever for criminals to hack into webcams, security cameras, or even baby monitors to spy on people. Ugh. But how? Well, so-called smart homes are becoming more and more popular, with all kinds of seemingly innocent household devices getting interconnected through the internet. Which is great if you're not targeted by a hacker. If you are, though, this means they only need to hack one device to potentially get access to your entire home: your computer. Don't get me wrong, this isn't as easy as slipping an AirTag into your handbag, but it's still very possible. If a stalker has your email address, they might try and phish you. This is basically where they claim they're from the company you bought your baby monitor or CCTV system from and tell you that you need to log in to answer a security question or something. They'll provide a link, and if you click it, you'll go through what looks like the login page, but it's really their own fake version. So when you type your details in, they'll be able to see what you type. From there, they can simply use those details to log into the account your cameras are associated with and access the feed. Aside from this, they could also email you a link containing malware. If you click it, it'll download the malicious software to your computer and allow them to hijack your cameras whenever they like. However they do it, the outcome will always be the same: some weirdo watching you when you least expect it. And sometimes they'll even broadcast your cam to others. Wait, what? Unfortunately, that's right. Back in 2014, Russian hackers posted thousands of hijacked cam feeds from all over the world onto a dedicated website, so that other creeps could have a weird viewing party. Man, this stuff is making me shudder just thinking about it. And because most of the time these attacks come from foreign countries, it can be super difficult to actually catch any of the people responsible. There are a few things to watch out for though. For a start, if you notice your webcam light turn on when you're not using it, cover it up and run a virus scan. It could be a sign it's been hijacked. You should also check your computer for any strange-looking files or applications you can't remember installing. If a hacker has stolen footage from any of your devices, they might have left behind telltale files in the process. Equally malicious camera hacking programs can usually be found by a simple malware scan, so invest in some decent antivirus software. Simplest of all, though, just avoid clicking any links from email addresses that aren't in your contacts. Please. But what if I told you there's one method criminals can use to both stalk and steal from you that's so damn sneaky, there's no way of knowing about it until it's too late? Well, there is. You might know that most new cars feature keyless ignition and entry, meaning instead of taking an entire 3 seconds turning a key, you can hold the key nearby and it'll unlock for you. It works because these high-tech car keys send out short-range signals that communicate with the car and tell it to unlock its doors. The problem is those signals can be intercepted. Yep, it's called relay theft, and criminals do it to gain access to your car without having to break in or even touch your keys. Whoa. To do it, they need a couple of these strange-looking devices. They're called relay boxes and work by amplifying the signals sent out by your keys. One thief will stand by your car and another outside your home holding a relay box each. If the criminal by your house is close enough to your keys, they'll pick up the signal, amplify it, and send it over to the second relay box. This tricks the car into thinking the keys are nearby, unlocking it. From here, they simply repeat the process to ignite the engine. Presto, you just lost your brand new car. Clever, right? In a really messed up way, of course. Arguably even worse, though, is the potential for this tech to be used for stalking. It would be supremely easy for scumbags to go through the relay process and instead of driving off with the car, hide in the back seat. They could even lock the car again after they've got inside. That way, when the owner returns to their vehicle, they'd have no reason to suspect anything was amiss until it's too late. Jeez. And as I said earlier, this isn't a case of leaving a detectable device on your car. Unless you catch the criminal in the act, you won't be able to see any trace of them. Despite this, there is something you can buy that'll stop criminals before they've even begun. It's called a Faraday pouch. These handy cases house your keys and are coated with a metallic lining that blocks signals dead, making the relay boxes useless. Just remember to take your keys out of the case before trying to open your car, alright? Phew, And with that, I think we're just about done. I can't take any more terrifying tales. So would you buy an AirTag? Or do you think they're more harm than good? And have you got any similar tech-related creepy stories to share? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe, and thanks for watching.